So what comes to mind when you think melee in Payday 2? The endless amounts of nonsensical choices? Or instead the vast array of imaginative ways to create a swingable hitter that can help you show your personality or define a side of a character? Well, either way you slice it, melee in Payday 2 can be a lot of fun, especially with the variety and extent of choice. Of course, there are some better than other ones, and you might just straight up not use some. But I believe melee needs to be viewed as a fun way to change things up and needs a little bit of an open mind to have some fun with it instead of a serious, you must use this perk deck with these guns to have fun, because that's what everyone else says, or at least says you should use. When it comes to perk decks tied to melee, there are only a couple that give us any more utility than the other decks, but there are skills that you can use to make pretty much any perk deck into a melee build if you really wanted to. Sociopath is a usual top choice for those wanting a full-on melee build experience, which makes sense. Armor and health regen alongside health and armor buffs, damage reduction, and the ability to spread panic. But what if you don't have that DLC or even think it's shit? Well, you also have the option of Infiltrator, the dragon perk deck. Oh shit, before I get into this, I have to roll the usual intro. Almost forgot that this was part of that series. And in that series, where actually are we? Let's take a look at which perk decks we have already done. Rogue, Grinder, Anarchist, Hacker, Sociopath, Kingpin, Burglar, Hitman, Stoic, Ex-President, Muscle, Crew Chief, Gambler, Sicario, Crook, Armorer, and Yakuza. Basically, Payday 2 is being updated again. I'm making up-to-date builds for all 21 perk decks. Holy shit. These are all Death Sentence 1 down difficulty builds. Playing less than that and you're a pussy. Each build will have some crossovers, or will have Inspire and 9 Lives aced. Painkiller's aced is not better than Quick's Fixed aced. Facts. Each build will be using Max Infamy with a video on screen and linked in the description. Going to try and use some different weapons to accentuate the builds and make them fun. Not every build will have the ISMA shotgun, even though I would like them to. All builds will have been tested for at least 2 minutes in order to validate my claims. I will give some playstyle ideas and some map suggestions where the build may find you more success. Click like if you like this video and subscribe if you are new. So the Infiltrator perk deck stands in the list of perks with some benefit to using melee, in that not only do you stack damage at a rate of 1000% per hit if done quick enough in succession within 7 seconds, but also regenerate 20% of your health by striking an enemy with your melee weapon. There is of course a cooldown on this effect, 10 seconds being your penalty. What is more interesting about this perk deck is the damage reduction that is an even bigger part of it. The stats being situational on distance to enemies, however, you will get a 36% damage reduction with those criteria met. The criteria we are looking for here is to be within 18 meters of our enemy, and when there are 3 or more enemies there, we will receive our 36% damage reduction. If there are less than 3 enemies, we will get a 24% reduction. Now this lends itself to melee in that we need to stay rather close to our enemies to gain this ability. So although we aren't running a crazy melee wielding maniac 100% all the time hitting machine, we can utilize melee to take out some big guys in the heat of battle. On top of the damage reduction gained within the perk, we can multiplicatively add to it through some skills we take. The underdog ace skill in Enforcer will get us a further 10% damage reduction with the same criteria, and we cannot forget the big bad frenzy skill that will grant us a constant 25% damage reduction. If we run these numbers real quickly together, we can see what kind of damage we will sustain at that medium distance of 18 meters given those correct criteria. Now I mentioned that the reductions are multiplicative, meaning that they are multiplied after each other, not added directly. Given the nature of the melee portion, when we are in the midst of battle, we can either use melee to build up some serious damage via the perk deck, or utilize some melee skills to charge this up with our ranged weapon. More on that in the build. Not unlike Sociopath, it's important to buff our armor as much as possible to play on the damage reduction as much as possible. Taking the lower armor will render our armors a 1-hit loss at all times. If you wanted to play this with 15% dodge and roll the dice, fair play. I found that being surrounded to get the damage reductions, too many shots didn't play too well with such a small amount of dodge. So ICTV via way of Iron Man aced in Enforcer will be the way I will go here. Melee is a big choice here, and for me I'll take any excuse to grab the katana and start swinging. It has a great reach which I love, but just the thought of a sword in this game and the chopping sound effect is perfect. Choose your own poison here, but let me know what your favourite is and why. Throwable for me will be the concussion. It gives me the ability to throw one down and create an opportunity to run away if it gets too hot, or throw one and begin an objective. Skills is next, and in Mastermind all the way to Inspire. I considered first aid kits here, but with Frenzy in play and the health reduction, I decided on medbags. In Enforcer, going with shotguns out of necessity here a little. I mean this due to having taken some heavy point hitting skills with this build, and I was already in the shotgunner tree for Underdog Ace, so it was less points to keep speccing and get overkill than start a new skill tree for weapon specifics. Underdog Ace for the further situational damage reduction of 10%, plus a sweet damage increase to go alongside with it. CQB Ace for reload speed, Close By Ace for aim while sprinting and the extra mag ammo, and then Overkill Basic for the 75% shotgun damage increase after activating it. Shotgun Impact Basic here was a loose pickup, and it's only 5% damage increase, which doesn't amount to much and can easily go somewhere else if needed. In the middle here, aiming for the top ICTV unlock and Iron Man, grabbing Resilience Ace for flashbang help, Bullseye to keep grabbing a little armor back for every headshot opportunity, Shockanor Ace to regen armor a little faster and the ability to knock back shields. 100% chance with melee, and then of course Iron Man Ace. There is some play in this section here for me, but not a lot of good choices or efficient point combos. Next, a couple of mandatories, Duck and Cover and Parkour Basic for mobility, particularly more useful when we use the ICTV. Lastly in here, grabbing Second Wind Basic, in case your armor breaks and you need to get the hell out of here. I did look at Optical Illusions Basic, but we actually need our enemies to target us to gain some of these advantages, not look the other way. Finally, in Fugitive, spending some serious points. 9 Lives Ace for the extra down before custody, and then onto Frenzy Ace for that further 25% damage reduction to assist the perk deck. Martial Arts Basic to open up the tree, but beneficial to take less melee damage ourselves when we're up close with our enemies. Bloodthirst Ace to stack up weapon kills and charge to a huge 1600% damage increase on our melee. Something you can alternate in with the other melee hits using the perk deck damage stacks by using melee hits. Next, I grab Berserker Ace to take advantage of the less health given to us by Frenzy. We automatically get a 40% damage increase on our ranged weapons and 100% damage increase on our melees right off the bat. Pretty solid considering the base charge damage for the katana is 450. Charging this hits enemies for 900 with Berserker activated. And if you stack enough shotgun kills and grab the 1600% damage boost of Bloodthirst, you can hit for over 14,000 damage, which is more than 50% of a regular bulldozer's health. So after all of those, we're still left with a couple of stray points to use for your liking. Maybe add Shotgun Impact Ace for a further 10% more damage, or even remove its basic version and grab some more melee stuff. Pretty much your call. For the primary, like I mentioned, based on the weapon skills situation, I took a shotgun, this time the Stakeout. I modded like this for a little extra damage and a little accuracy and stability to go with it. Doesn't really need much on this one, to be honest. For secondary, I kept the play on shotguns given the skill investment and went with the Grim with Dragon's Breath. Great ammo pickup and good for stunning crowds of enemies and dealing some damage over time, allowing me to get closer for the melee. So that's it, a melee perk deck or a damage reduction perk deck. I like it as a little bit of both and a really fun way to play. Sadly, given the restrictions on the damage reduction buffs we get, open maps are just too volatile for this deck. Being hit for 225 damage across the map from seemingly anywhere leaves you dead in the water, but it's a lot of fun to play if you're up close and personal on maps like Undercover, Big Bang, Golden Grin, etc. Definitely isn't the worst perk deck, but definitely isn't the most played either.
He said, I need a baby's bag now!
Fuck you.
Go, go! Alright! Zero, come get that doctor! Go faster!
Doesn't take a genius to guess what'll happen the next time one of them sees me.
ops have messed with the time lock. We start it.